What if the very thing you have been apologizing for is actually the answer to a prayer you forgot you prayed? You asked God for something real, something that would not collapse under the weight of time, and then you watched Him close every door. You watched every connection fade. You watched everyone around you pair off while you stayed exactly where you were, and you began to wonder if maybe He simply did not hear you. He heard every word, God's child, and what you are about to receive in the next 8 minutes will reframe everything you thought His silence meant. The enemy handed you a narrative early. It was quiet, persistent, and it sounded just reasonable enough to believe. It said you are behind. It said you are too difficult to love. It said the fact that you are still here, still single, still waiting, is evidence that something in you is broken. That narrative is a lie dressed in your own voice so you would not question it. Your singleness is not a sentence. It is not God attending to more worthy people while your prayers collect dust. It is a deliberate, sovereign act of preparation. And the reason it has lasted this long is because what He is building in you cannot be rushed without consequence. Every door that did not open was not a failure of your faith. It was God standing on the other side of it, holding it shut, protecting you from something you could not yet see clearly enough to protect yourself from. That is not rejection, God's child. That is fatherhood. There is something on your life that not everyone is equipped to handle. You have felt it, the way certain spaces feel too small for what stirs inside you, the way certain conversations leave you quietly drained, the way you keep sensing there is more you are supposed to be walking in even when you cannot name it yet. That is not imagination. That is spiritual reality. This is why God has not handed you to just anyone who expressed interest. Every person you give your vulnerability to receives a portion of what God deposited inside you. The wrong person does not just break your heart, they dilute your direction. They drain the reservoir God has been filling so you can pour it into your purpose. The reason your standards keep rising even when no one around you understands them is not stubbornness. It is your spirit learning to tell the difference between someone attracted to your light and someone actually assigned to protect it. Those are not the same person, and confusing one for the other costs more than a painful breakup. It costs time, clarity, and spiritual momentum you cannot afford to lose. So God waits, and while He waits, He guards. What looks from the outside like unavailability looks from heaven like love. The most important work God does in a person often happens in the seasons they would never voluntarily choose. In this season, while everything felt quiet on the surface, God has been excavating, pulling up roots of patterns you did not plant but inherited, dismantling a version of love that was handed to you before you were old enough to evaluate it, rebuilding your understanding of what you deserve, not from the framework the world gave you, but from the truth of who He says you are. He has been teaching you how to be whole before you were witnessed, how to be full before you were chosen, how to know your own voice so clearly that no smooth tongue with wrong intentions will ever talk you into abandoning it. Every night you spent with God instead of chasing something that was not right, you became harder to deceive, sharper in discernment, more grounded in identity. The silence was never emptiness, God's child. It was construction. And what is being built in you right now is load-bearing. It will hold the weight of everything God is about to place in your hands. Look back at the love you witnessed growing up, not to assign blame, but to name the patterns, the emotional distance that was normalized, the pain quietly tolerated, the version of love that looked more like surviving than thriving. Those patterns did not begin with you, but they are meant to end with you. You are in this season in part because God needed you awake. He needed you to see the dysfunction clearly enough to refuse to repeat it, to develop the courage to choose something you have never seen modeled, a love that is steady, honoring, and built to last. That courage does not come from trying harder. It comes from spending enough time with God that His standard becomes your standard. The relationship you build will not just be a blessing to you, it will be a new inheritance, something your children receive, something their children carry forward, something that shifts the entire trajectory of what comes after you. You are not late, God's child. You are the turning point. There is a person God is shaping right now whose life is on a path that will intersect with yours at exactly the right moment. Not early, because early means meeting before either of you can hold what the connection is meant to carry. Not late, because God does not operate behind schedule. And here is what that person will not do. They will not make you feel like you need to be smaller to keep them. They will not ask you to quiet your calling to make room for theirs. They will not arrive looking for someone still searching for their identity. They will arrive and find you already living in yours. They will recognize you not by your circumstances, but by the same God they carry in themselves. That kind of meeting does not happen through strategy or striving. It happens when God says, now. And when it does, there will be a peace in your spirit so undeniable that every question this season produced will find its answer in a single moment of clarity. His timing has never once been careless, and it is not being careless with you now. God's child, before you move on, receive this. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not too much, and you are not enough. You are a person in the hands of a God who is too intentional to rush, too faithful to abandon, and too sovereign to make mistakes. And He has you in this season on purpose. The longing you feel is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that what God placed inside you is real and it is ready to be matched. Honor it. Do not trade it for something that only addresses the surface of what you need. Go deeper with God. Walk further into your purpose. Heal the places that still ache. Guard what you carry with the seriousness of someone who understands its value. And trust, not blindly, not without your questions, but through them, that the same God who designed your purpose also designed the love that will walk alongside it. Your wait is not wasted. Your season is not punishment. The story God is writing with your life is far from finished. If this reached you, drop prepared in the comments right now. Subscribe, share this with someone in their own waiting season, and remind them, on behalf of heaven, that they are not forgotten. They are being prepared.